name is actually Wednesday. Don't go into the woods because you'll die. But it's giving me everything I want. Look at the sprayed edges on all of these books. A while back, I believe it was like in 2022 when this book came out, I picked up this book. I heard nothing of the book. I only picked it up because, the cover made me intrigued. I had not heard about the author Susan Dennard before, although it seems like she's written quite a large, like a 5-book series from what I'm gathering here. But I haven't really heard of her. I may have, but not, you know, it's not got into my brain. But anyway, I picked this up randomly. And I mean, yeah, the sprayed edges is giving. And because I had the first book, I then also picked up the second book, which, you know, there's vibes. So, I picked up the second book before I'd read the first book, but I think the third book and possibly the final book is coming out in like November time, so I'm hoping it has the same kind of sprayed edges vibes, because I mean, you can't have two and not have the third one be as interesting. Anyway, I haven't read the second book, but I have read the first book, The Luminaries. So from what I'm gathering is that, like, all around the world there are like colonies, I suppose, where like a lot of people have taken up a spot of earth because at these different points around the world there are something that has nightmares, and the nightmares can come in the form of like vampires. I think werewolves is counting out as that, and you have, what more do you have? You have a lot of different creatures that I can't think of right now, but loads of creatures. So basically these people in these colonies, they are, you know, kind of trained since birth to go into the woods, because of course it's in the woods, go into the woods during night and kill off these nightmares that they're called. Fascinating. One thing about these colonies around the world, because it seems to be the same thing just in different languages, is that so all the families, there's like 7 different families, surprisingly, that live in like it's a big city, really. Well, a small town, possibly. There is a map that can possibly explain it. There is a map that shows off where like the families or clans or whatever lives. Now, all these like families, they're named after the weeks of the day. So our main character is called Winnie Wednesday. Side note, we find out like lots later in the book that her name is actually Wednesday. Wednesday Winona Wednesday. Wednesday. Like, what? Those parents. But anyway, so Winnie. Let's call her Winnie because that's what she is called. So Winnie, she, her family, her mum and her brother have kind of been, I guess, ostracized from the whole luminary thing. So the Luminaries is like the main group, they're like the fighters of the whole thing, but they have different areas of expertise, but some are fighters and such that go into the woods during nighttime. But in the mornings they also have corpse duty, which is surprisingly that Winnie is allowed to do corpse duty despite being like ostracized from being able to become a fighter. So she's 16? Yeah, she's turning 16. Anyway, so her mum, brother and herself, they have been like ostracized because it turned out her dad was a part of a different type of people, the Dianas, which basically, from what I can gather, they're like witches that are using the like nightmares for some kind of gain. Surprisingly, I have very little information about said thing, because they are like banned for the next 10 years from when said thing happened. Winnie is not allowed to go and do the trials. So there's like 3 trials for you to become a fighter, a luminary fighter. And she's not allowed to do that, but she's found a loophole. So basically she manages to go and do the trials and become a part of the Luminaries again. So she like gets her family in. Now, these trials, they're wild. Honestly, they're wild. So they keep telling people that don't go into the woods because you'll die. But to do these trials, the kids, the like 16-year-old kids, are supposed to go into the woods to like face nightmares. I mean, most people that are in the families, they've been trained throughout their lives, but like the last 4 years or so, Winnie has not been allowed to train. So she's had like, she's not had proper training. She's kind of made up her own training. So she's not really fit to fight, but almost. The thing about these trials though, so every time that Winnie goes into the woods, basically, I think she's either the most unluckiest girl alive or the luckiest, because every time she goes in, she faces something, usually more than one, and somehow she manages to come out of it alive. Like, how? So these are like massive creatures of some form, and they are like out to kill her or anything else that's, you know, edible to them. So there's like, there are bits and pieces here and there that are a bit like, what even is this? Like all the clans, families having the weekday names. So there's talk of it about like other communities from around the world, and like the Spanish one is like the Spanish version of whatever weekday. I don't remember the Spanish weekday words. Didn't take 4 years of Spanish, no. Yes, 4 years of Spanish, and I know nothing. Great teaching, yeah. Anyway, here's the thing. I don't know if it's set to be like great or just very entertaining, but so far I'm hooked. So far I really want to pick up the next book, but also it's a good couple of months until it's November and I can pick up the 3rd book, hopefully the final book, because I'm gonna be so mad if I have to wait years for more books. So I'm kind of like trying to pace myself and not pick up the 2nd book yet, but I really wanna, but also, yeah. So short, entertaining, loads of weird nightmare creatures. I really want to know more about what this thing is that supposedly has nightmares, because these creatures, they just show up at night. They're like literal physical nightmares that show up. So it's like when the sun comes down and then just lots of creatures just pop up from like smoke and I don't know what foggy stuff, and then as soon as the sun comes back up, these creatures just disappear. So they're like dreamt up nightmares. But what is this like creature that's dreaming up the nightmares? And supposedly more than one. I don't know, but I'm intrigued. I want to know more. I honestly want to know more, and I don't feel like this book gave me enough background information about this world. So I'm hoping there's more information in like book 2 and so on. But also there's a mystery going on besides the what even is this world. So I'm so intrigued. I do like a very light, entertaining book, possibly with like weird fantasy creatures. I think that's just my vibe. I just like that kind of stuff, and I don't know why. I mean, I'm not alone in it, so there's that. Book 2 in the Luminaries series, The Hunting Moon. This series is on a fast track to becoming a favorite series. I say that, and this is just book 2, and I don't know how many more books there are. I know there's at least 1, which I'm gonna have to wait for. But it's giving me everything I want to keep me entertained. And I'm loving it. I'm bloody loving it. So, from book 1, there is a werewolf running around, and in this one we do find out who it is, and I won't say who it is, but I guessed it. I guessed right. I did. I'm very pleased with myself. There is one thing though. So, the forest, so I don't remember what times it is, but basically when the nightmare starts coming, there's this mist that like starts, and if you're standing in it, you're basically blind, and you could end up like just in front of or on top of or whatever a nightmare, if you're not careful, which, you know, it's not that easy to figure out because you're blind when it starts coming. But it starts coming, and then when like the session ends or whatever, there's this mist again, and all the nightmares disappear. So it's this spirit that's having the nightmares that's just coming up in physical form. I think I explained it for book 1. Probably not very well, and this is definitely not very well, but I'm not sure how to explain it, honestly. Anyway, presumably, because they say it in this book as well, so the werewolf is a person during day. This is all good and right, because in this book they start up a testing center, so they are supposedly gonna test out all the people that are living in the town, to see if they have this, I don't know, werewolf gene. So that's what's happening. But presumably the werewolf, the person doesn't turn into a werewolf until they are in the mist, which comes, and I'm like, how? Because this person is a hunter, so they hunt nightmares. So how the hell are they staying a person during the misty sessions where they are out and hunting nightmares? I'm very confused about this point, and it's probably a little plot hole, so I'm not gonna dig too much into it, because it's a bit weird, I'm not gonna lie. So there are a bit of plot holes here and there. It's not a perfect series, but it's keeping me entertained AF. And it's all these monsters and stuff that's it's just funny. And in this book they are figuring out a bit more. So what's her name again? Winnie's dad was accused of being a Diana, which is a witch. He's like, I didn't do it, and he's like sent her clues, which she's now like going through to try to figure out who actually framed him. I mean, she does at some point go into the woods and see like 4 of them. They're wearing masks, so she can't actually tell if it's anyone in the town or not, and she can't like hear from their speech because these masks, they cover the sound, so it all sounds like gibberish. So it's like, I'm so intrigued. Also, this book ends on a freaking cliffhanger, so bring me book 3 now. I need to know. I do. but I'm loving it. I'm bloody loving it. It's so easy to read. It has all that fun stuff. Plot holes, yes, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. Whispering Night, the third and final book in the Luminary cycle. What? The Luminaries series. Well, it definitely went out with a bang. I feel like the whole series had this like this line that we've followed, which is just excitement, which is so good. We find out a whole lot more about, well, the past, really, the Dianas and the Luminaries, the two groups, which are like on opposite sides, but who's good, who's bad? It's all up in the air, because there's more people that we don't know exist. What am I saying? So there's so many people in this little town community. I'm not sure which one I want to call it. Honestly, it feels like more of a community than a town, but I think it's supposed to be a town. Anyway, there's more people in here that we thought we knew, but did we really? I'm not saying they could be good, they could be bad, who knows? But people weren't exactly who we thought they were when they were first introduced to us. Honestly, that was a whole wild ride. So I must say though, because I took all the books down so I could do this. Look at the sprayed edges on all of these books, how they're like going from the different stages of the moon. I'm so happy I can honestly say what all the stages of the moon are, because that's not slipped my mind just now. I love how all of these are very, like, they have their, I mean, all of them have that same theme going for them. And whoever designed these books, wow, chef's kiss, hats off to you. Anyway, this whole series, I have loved every minute of reading these books, like, individually, even though it's been more than, I think it's been more than 6 months from book 2 and 3, but that's more my fault than anything else. Well, is it my fault? I don't release the books, I just read them. That, besides the point. There were definitely bits here and there that I would have liked to have more of. I mean, we do get we get a like brief description of the woods and the luminaries, not the luminaries, the monsters, the creepers that live in the woods, basically. And I'm slipped my mind what the hell they're called, but anyway, so we get a very brief description of it, and then we get just enough description to understand what's happening. I would have loved to have understood that whole thing more. We get a very brief, what's the word? We get such a brief description of the woods, really. The sleeping creature and the creepy crawlies that are in the woods, and they just happen to disappear when dawn comes. But I would have liked to have known more. So in book 3, we get a lot more information about the two, like, communities, the luminaries, the I can't say it, the Dianas. There we go. We get more information about them and how they sort of interact in this creature thingamajig who's dreaming, apparently, these monsters, how that whole connects. But I still feel like there were bits lacking. because we know there are more of these like community towns all over the world, because we get some Italian ones, I just remember the Italian ones, honestly. But we see more people from different places along the world, and that's sort of like, okay, but so these sleepy thingamajings, they are like placed all over the world, but why are they where they are? Is there a reason they exist to begin with? There's more information that I would have liked, Tom. Yeah, I would have liked more information, basically, because it's just the backstory, and this is the kind of series of books in a series that has that theme that I just want to know more. And I mean, we do get to know enough. I was just craving more. But yeah, such a highly entertaining series. There's mysteries, there's like intrigue, there's suspicion. Like, who can we trust? Who can we really trust in this community town? What are we going to call it? Because I don't know. I do manage to get, like, so we have every now and again we will have these pages with like drawn pictures of these creatures that live in the woods, that they hunt, and we'll get like short descriptions of the thing. It's such a good added detail, because we get that visual, because the description we get isn't necessarily something that we would just picture in our heads, but seeing that picture with it, yes. Oh, I really like this. I highly recommend you pick it up if you haven't. Yeah, if this is your cup of tea, that is. If you don't read these kinds of books, probably not for you, but still, so entertaining. Bloody loved it. Yeah, so that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I shall see you all next time. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.